All right, part three, and this is the looks like the top view of the picture that I left off part two with, right? That dangerous bike trail. And if that first picture didn't say make you go, no, I'll pass. This one is definitely hard pass. Not doing this one at all. So as we go through here, this one's kind of hairy too, but not as bad. It looks like, right? You're not falling as bad. And I don't know if these are two are more dangerous, or is this the more dangerous bike path right in the middle of lanes of traffic? I don't know what we're doing. Looks like NYC. I don't know, man. Yeah, New York license plate. All right, let's get going. So I think we've talked about some of this stuff before. So some of the stuff that we talked about from a weight standpoint, we're talking about obesity and overweight, and this being this huge risk factor for disease. Some of the weight assumptions, you just eat less, right? If you just eat less, mix in a salad, you'll be okay. But unfortunately, that's not the way it works, right? It'd be nice if we could just stop eating and be healthy, and that'd be or lose weight and get healthy and do all that kind of stuff. But there's so many different things. Obviously, genetics is a huge key. I'm going to talk about that here in a second. But lifestyle factors and behaviors, man, we get so entrenched and ingrained, and sometimes lifestyle factors, the choices that we have access to, and the amount of resources we have to access healthy foods and healthy eating habits is difficult, right? It's difficult, or access to exercise and those kind of things. So I think I've talked about, maybe I haven't, but talked about, but the classic kind of assumption is we just do this energy balancing equation, right? If you take the calories that you expend and you subtract the calories that you intake, right? You eat this big old cookie, and then you subtract the calories that you expend in a day. That's your caloric balance, right? So if you take in, this is the positive number, if you take in more calories than you expend, right? You have more calories. It has to go somewhere. You get a positive number. On the opposite side, you get a negative number. When we start doing this calculation, we have a couple of things to be aware of. So look, 1 pound of fat is 3,500 calories. You need to know that number. That's a number you need to know. When we get to excess of that number, right? So I said if you take in more calories than you expend, whenever you get to 3,500 calories, you get a weight. You get a 1 pound, right? Same thing goes when we lose it, right? So if I'm expending more calories that I'm taking in, I'm getting that. I had to take those calories from somewhere else that I didn't intake, and so it's coming from me, my body. So I give you a couple of examples here as we go through here, and you can kind of see some of this. This is the positive, right? So I'm gaining. I take in my normal 2,000 calories, but I'm sitting on the couch. I take in an extra 500 calories a day, so it takes me 7 days to get to 3,500. So if I keep doing this over the course of the year, each week I'm gaining a pound. So 52 pounds in a year. I can keep that I can keep that track, right? If I'm doing the opposite, right? So here's my 500 calories deficit, right? So I burned this much more and I got a deficit. So now every 7 days I can lose a pound, which for people who are trying to lose weight sometimes is, I want to lose weight quicker. I know you do, but it's not always healthy the way we do that. So that's kind of the now this, sometimes it works. Sometimes it works like this. Other times it doesn't, right? So we have to factor in a number of different things. This is the estimated energy output rate, or energy rate, right? So this comes in the resting metabolic rate, your physical activity, and how much the effect of breaking down that food is. And so this resting metabolic rate is really just what it says. When you're at rest, when you're not this is what it takes to keep you alive. All the processes that are going on, it keeps you going. And so your body's continuing to expend energy. And that's really about a pretty significant portion of your output. You should know this, right? So this is one of those things that you can star. You should know that resting metabolic rate is about 60 to 70% of your daily expended calories. So there you go, right? So that's what that is. Now, I did talk about this set point theory because I remember talking about the thermostat thing, and I kind of mentioned this, so I'll go a little bit quicker. But basically, if here's where genetics comes in and plays a huge role. We're kind of genetically coded for a specific weight. And if we start to do things that if we decrease our weight, if we say, all right, I'm gonna stop taking in a whole bunch of calories, I start losing weight. Well, our body responds by increasing our appetite and decreasing our resting metabolic rate to conserve, because we got to conserve. We don't want to lose weight, or at least the body does. And so that's what, we decrease that, and you get to that very common in people that are trying to lose weight. They get to this plateau and they just can't get past it, or it takes them forever to get past it. The same thing is true on the gaining weight. I know I dealt with this as a young person. I was trying to gain weight, and I would just shove a bunch of calories in, and my body said, nope, the set point is you're not going to gain weight. We have a set point that's not very high. And so the metabolism goes up, my appetite goes down, I'm not hungry. And so that's how your body, it's kind of a sick gain. And again, this is our genetic component that plays into it. If we want to talk about this more, we can. There's ways to affect the set point theory. And if I give you a chance to think about, what do you think would alter that set point and make that set point a lower weight? Probably going to be exercise, but anyway, hey, there it is, exercise, and then good diet, right? And so the healthy ways of going about this are bullets 1 and 2, and then you have this other thing that it works. Nicotine and amphetamines, they tend to work and lower that set point theory, and the person will definitely to lose some weight. The other one, okay, there they are, is the poor diet and really fasting diets, right? So if we just cut off all calorie intake to the extreme, that can have a nice rebound effect, because that's going to raise up that set point again, and your body's going to try to rebound itself and get back to a normal level. You can put lack of exercise over here as well. The sedentary lifestyle is just there. All right, last little bit of randomness. The last couple slides, I think, should be pretty self-explanatory, so I'll go pretty quick, because right, this is exercise. Exercise is the key. And so if we look at this right here, I want you to look at what exercise does, and you need to make sure that you obviously lean tissue. Insulin sensitivity is a big one. We talked about that in the diabetes time. These are the same, not prescriptions, but suggestions. These are the same guidelines. That's a better way to say it. The same guidelines as we've already talked about. 30 minutes of moderate intensity exercise. If we want to lose weight, this is just for the health benefits. We're not talking about any weight loss or stuff like here. This is now if we want to maintain weight or lose weight, we need to get a little bit more, and probably a little bit more higher intensity as we go through there. Aerobic exercise is that set point. Obviously, we're burning calories, but it's the set point that is being affected. And then the resistance exercise is going to increase that basal metabolic rate, or that resting metabolic rate. Why? Because we're increasing lean muscle mass, and the more muscle there is, the more energy it takes to survive and do all that kind of stuff. All right, so just a couple of other bullet points. You can kind of look at that. They're pretty self-explanatory. I don't want to spend too much time on that kind of stuff. But ultimately, the strength training and the exercise, strength training and aerobic exercise is the way, right? So this is the way. Sound like the Mandalorian right there. This is the way. As we go through there, we did talk about in our nutrition section, we talked about, if we're trying to build muscle, how much are we adding good calories like protein and good carbohydrates and that kind of stuff, and when to add those kind of things. So make sure you have a good, I'm just reminding you of that. And then as we go through I'm going to point out this little nugget right here. This is a super important. If it can be done, our American diet is not set up this way, that we take 25% of our calories in the morning, 50% during the day, 25% at night. No, most of our calories are consumed in the evening time, right before we're going to go to bed, and just go back to resting metabolic rate and have a low metabolism. So that's if we can get to this point here, that's the healthiest, right? Skipping breakfast, not a good idea. Lots of evidence about that. And then if we're going to have fats, it's better to do that in the earlier in the day, so we have much more time to break them down, and our metabolic rate is high as we go through. We've talked a little bit about food logs. That keeps us on track, right? People who monitor their weight and kind of are consistent with this do a much better job than just kind of going, yeah, I think I did okay. So we have that. All right, I'm going to end this here because this got a little bit longer than I wanted to, but I will show you this, the minivan that goes into the pool. I don't know how they got, so obviously they came in this way, or maybe they did, but yeah, I don't know how they got turned around. Maybe the water kind of spun it around.